Hello and welcome to Let's Play Pillars of Eternity with me, Bring It On. Pillars of Eternity was released on March 26, 2015. It was developed by Obsidian Entertainment and published by Paradox Interactive. It is an isometric CRPG that takes place in a fantasy setting unique to it, so it's not based off D&D or Pathfinder, anything like that. It's also the game responsible for reinvigorating my interest in the CRPG genre. I used to play them back in the day, and I fell in that habit for a few years. And when this game was released, I stumbled upon a smaller YouTuber by the name of Subtowner, I believe. I can no longer find his channel, I don't think that it exists anymore. And he didn't make it very far into the game, maybe 20 episodes or so, but it's all I needed. After having watched his series, I became obsessed with CRPGs again, and I started buying every one that I could find, including this one. And so I have played this game briefly, only making it to the first town or so. So I have a little bit of experience with Pillars of Eternity. But going forward, the rest of this episode will just be character creation. I'm going to go through and create my character, read everything pertaining to that character, and I'm going to set some role-playing parameters for him as well. So if that's not your cup of jam, feel free to skip ahead. But without any further ado, we'll start a new game on Hard. So the Hard difficulty is suited for Infinity Engine veterans who are looking for a challenge. Survival requires micromanagement and optimization of stats through items, spells, and abilities. I'm not going to play an expert or Trial of Iron, because Iron mode does not usually play nicely with Let's Plays, because what if I forget to press record? And away we go.
Five wagons grope blindly for the path on a starless night, their master glancing ever upward to the skies for assurance that he is on the right course. A dim lantern his only protection against the encroaching darkness. But the skies bring no comfort, shining no light, betraying no hint of what they know. The caravan carries travelers bound for the frontier hamlet of Gilded Vale, you among them, where a local lord has offered land and wealth to settlers from abroad looking for a fresh start. You have taken suddenly ill, sweating and shivering, and one of the other travelers signals for the caravan master to stop on your behalf. He pulls up just in time to avoid plowing into the trunk of a fallen tree that bars the way ahead. You will go no further tonight.
Alright, welcome to Character Creation. We will be playing as a male. The place of men in society varies from culture to culture. Cultures like a deer and the deer would place them at the forefront of military, politics, and heavy labor. Among the tribes of Nasatak, men perform many of the homesteading and organizational duties. In Glanfath and Iximitul, men and women have more fluid social roles. In all societies, there are exceptions to the rule, and men can be found in a wide variety of stations and professions. We're playing as human. Humans, commonly called folk, are the most common race in the Deerwood and the Adir Empire, Old Valia, and the Valian Republics. They're not as large as the towering Amoa. Humans are known for their strength and willpower. You get +1 resolve and +1 might. So resolve reflects a character's internal drive, determination, fearlessness, and the emotional intensity they can project to others. It can be useful for mental intimidation, leadership, and convincing performances. In combat, helps characters maintain concentration and contributes to the will and deflection defenses. And might represents a character's physical and spiritual strength, brute force, as well as their ability to channel powerful magic. During interactions, it can be useful for intimidating displays and acts of brute force. In combat, contributes to both damage and healing, as well as the fortitude defense. I'm going to stick with the Meadowfolk here. The most common humans in the Deerwood, the Meadowfolk or Thyrton, have lived in that area for almost 2,000 years. Meadowfolk traditionally live at the edges of elven forests working the open plains, hence their name. Most humans in the Deerwood are Thyrton. So fighting spirit, once per encounter, 5 seconds after being reduced below 50% endurance, folk temporarily gain bonuses to accuracy and damage. So endurance represents a character's short-term survivability. Damage that is not absorbed by a character's damage reduction goes straight to their endurance and health. Potions and healing magic, such as from a paladin, priest, or druid, restore endurance in combat. When a character's endurance reaches 0, he or she will be knocked out. A knocked out character can be brought back in combat through the use of a revivability. Otherwise, characters will regain all of their endurance at the end of combat, assuming they're on the winning side. And accuracy is part of almost every attack. It influences how likely the attack is to affect the target. Accuracy is defined primarily by a character's class and level, but also influenced by perception, talents, and other active effects, such as spells or items. When an attack is made, the accuracy is compared to the appropriate defense on a target to determine how the attack roll will be modified. If accuracy is above the target's defense, it will be more likely to result in a hit or crit, less likely to result in a graze or miss. Any ability or talent that does not use a weapon as part of the attack gains a small accuracy bonus based on the level of the character. Alright, we're going to be playing as a paladin, of course. Paladins are martial zealots devoted to a god, a ruler, or even a way of life. They can be found in any culture where a fanatical group of like-minded individuals have formed a warrior society dedicated to advancing their cause. Among those aligned to their worldview, paladins are viewed with respect and admiration, if a bit of fear. Many paladins hold leadership positions in armies and mercenary companies. When in the heat of battle, their fanaticism often overrules the chain of command and common sense. The starting ability, Faith and Conviction. Paladins have an inherent bonus to all of their defenses. Over the course of the game, the value of this bonus may shift based on the reputations the paladin gains relative to the behaviors that are preferred by his or her order. The +2 to athletics, +1 to lore. So athletics, adventuring is tiring work. In addition to the hazards of mortal combat, adventurers have walls to climb, rivers to cross, and pits to leap over. Once per encounter, characters with athletics can use the Second Wind ability to recover lost endurance. A higher athletics score increases the effect of Second Wind. In conversations and scripted interactions, athletics is used for physical feats like climbing, swimming, and jumping. And lore represents a character's accumulated miscellaneous knowledge and trivia, often of occult or esoteric topics. Outside of conversations and scripted interactions, lore is used to activate scrolls. Higher lore values allow the character to use higher level scrolls. Endurance 42 + 14 per level, average. Health 5 times endurance, high. Accuracy 25 + 3 per level, average. And deflection 20, average. So health is a long-term damage only regained through rest and certain talents. Damage that is not absorbed by a character's damage reduction goes straight to their health and endurance. We already read this? No. When a character's health reaches 0, they will either be maimed or killed, depending on game settings. A maimed character who is reduced to 0 health will always be killed, regardless of settings. Unlike endurance, a character's health does not get restored after combat, but characters have much larger health values than endurance values. And deflection is the defense used to resist direct melee and range attacks against the character that are not area of effect. It is defined by the character's class, level, and resolve, but may also be influenced by shields, certain weapons, talents, and other effects from spells or items. And we're going to go with the Goldpact Knights. And I'll talk about why after we read the description. So the Goldpact Knights are an order of mercenary paladins who sell themselves for all sorts of defensive and offensive engagements. They emerged on the Pearl Coast a few hundred years ago and managed to survive the destruction of the Dwarven nation that created them. Goldpact Knights are not especially brutal and are willing to shift direction based on the desires of their employers. As their name suggests, the Goldpact Knights believe payment forms a binding contract. They're known for being non-judgmental, professional, and impressively mirthless. Their favorite dispositions are stoic and rational, and disfavored dispositions are passionate and aggressive. So the reason I want to play as a Goldpact Knight is because they are a mercenary paladin. And that'll excuse doing some of the quests that maybe some of the other paladins wouldn't be okay with doing. It also allows me to make role-playing decisions regarding quests that might have a choice at the end. Say we're employed by a certain character, and it turns out that character's the bad guy, and the person they want us to kill is the good guy, or something along those lines. I'll always side with the initial employer, because their payment forms a binding contract. So roleplay-wise, I'll always side with whoever gave me the quest initially, and my morality won't play a part in that decision-making. Here I'm going to choose Flames of Devotion. To calls upon the Paladin's inner fire, causing their equipped weapons to burst into flame and adding burn damage to their next attacks. 2 per encounter, and the speed is instant. The effects, the user full attack, 5 to 8 crush, plus 5 to 8 crush, accuracy versus deflection, plus 50% damage is burn, plus 20%, or plus 20 accuracy. And here, we're going to round out our stats. And then I'll read what they do. So might represents a character's physical and spiritual strength, brute force, as well as their ability to channel powerful magic. During interactions, it can be useful for intimidating displays and acts of brute force. In combat, it contributes to both damage and healing, as well as the fortitude defense. We've already read that, but we're going to read through all of it anyway. It's recommended for Paladin. A might 15 plus 1, human equals 16. So plus 18% damage and healing, and plus 12 fortitude. Constitution is a combination of the character's overall health and stamina. Although it is not used much in interactions, it is sometimes checked to withstand pain or endure a physically taxing ordeal. In combat, it affects maximum health and endurance, and contributes to the fortitude defense. So plus 25% endurance and health, and plus 10 fortitude. Dexterity is an abstraction of a character's hand-eye coordination, balance, and overall grace. In interactions, it can be used for sleight of hand and fast reactions. In combat, it affects a character's action speed with all attacks, spells, and abilities, and contributes to the reflex defense. Since it's neutral, so plus 0% action speed and plus 0 reflex. Perception represents a character's senses as well as their instinctive ability to pick up on details. In interactions, it can be used to catch someone in a lie, make an observant comment about their appearance, or to notice something happening in the background. In combat, it contributes to accuracy, reflex defense, and grants a bonus to interrupt. Again, it's neutral, so plus 0 to interrupt, plus 0 to accuracy, and plus 0 reflex. Also, we should probably read these as well. So interrupt determines how likely a damaging attack is to delay their opponent's current or next action. The roll uses an interrupt value from the attacker, derived from perception, that is then compared to the target's concentration, derived from resolve. A 1 to 100 roll is made, adding the interrupt. If the result is higher than the concentration, the target plays a hit reaction, and their current action is delayed. The duration of delay is determined by the interrupt strength listed on the weapon or attack. Interrupt applied to a character already suffering from interrupt with a longer duration will have no effect. And the reflex defense allows characters to dodge out of the way of physically harmful area of effect attacks. Examples: explosions, bolts of lightning. It is defined by a character's class, level, dexterity, and perception. It may also be influenced by other effects. Alright, intellect. Represents a character's logic and reasoning capabilities. In interactions, it can be useful for deduction, sudden realizations, and problem solving. In combat, it contributes to the will defense and influences durations and areas of effect for all abilities and talents. So plus 0% area of effect because it's neutral, plus 0% duration, and plus 0 will. The will defense opposes attacks that are mentally based, a spell that mentally paralyzes the target as an example. It is defined by a character's class, level, intellect, and resolve. It may also be influenced by other effects. Alright, and resolve reflects a character's internal drive, determination, fearlessness, and the emotional intensity they can project to others. It can be useful for mental intimidation, leadership, and convincing performances. In combat, it helps characters maintain concentration and contributes to the will and deflection defenses. And since we have 6 points into it, we get plus 18 concentration, plus 6 deflection, and plus 12 will. So I don't know enough about the game to pick one of these for role-playing purposes, so I'm going to pick the Araltai. I believe I said that right. No, maybe it's just the Roatai. Yeah, the Roatai. For the plus 1 Constitution, give me 16 to Might, Constitution, and Resolve. Plus they start with a hammer, which is my favorite weapon type. So dominated by the Amoa, nation of Roatai, the Gulf itself is a host to a number of nations, most of them Amoa, Orlan, or Endorvan. But these countries are relatively young. They are some of the most advanced colonial settlements in the East. The Gulf was a land of riches and resources for those who can take them, but the entire coast is often pummeled by violent storms. And plus 1 to Constitution. Here we're going to go with Mercenary since we are a Mercenary Paladin. It's just a roleplay choice. Blade in battle is your way of life. You solve your problems by pulling out your weapon and applying force. Also, athletics and lore stacks with our Paladin skills, so that works out. Alright, then here Nice dark red like that with maybe a underlying brown. Looks pretty good to me. And then I've already gone through and selected these so we don't waste too much time going through them. There we go. Not super happy with that hairstyle. My portrait, whenever I can, in games like this, I like to choose a faceless portrait because you often wear a helmet in these games anyway. Plus it looks cool. It's either this one or this one. I'm going to go with the winged helmet. And here, because one of our favorite dispositions is stoic, I'm going to choose stoic. Keep it simple. And our name, as no surprise, is Donald. And there he is. A male metalfolk human, the Goldpact Knight Paladin, starting with Flames of Devotion, 16 Might, 16 Constitution, 10 Dexterity, 10 Perception, 10 Intelligence, and 16 Resolve. We are a Robotai Mercenary with a pretty sweet appearance. And that's it. So we'll jump into the game next time. Thanks for watching. I'll see you guys in the next one.